Yeah. Good evening. How's everyone tonight? It's called the meeting of the Open Space Authority to order. It is 6:32. I'll call roll.
Director Tennant.
Here.
Director Flotter.
Here.
Director Chapman. Here. Director Annable. Here. Director Alexander. Here. Director Potter.
Here.
Director Gill.
Good.
And I see we have new staff introduction. Right, okay, great.
Good evening, directors. Elizabeth Loretto, Human Resources Officer. And tonight we're very excited to introduce Aline Harris, sitting here at the end, our new Human Resources Coordinator. She joined us just 2 weeks ago and is already diving right in. She's been knee-deep in payroll training. But she comes to us with some great experience in recruiting and being, like, if I remember correct, the primary global background checks processor for Adobe. So she's very good with details and data, and lots of other aspects of human resources. And so she's also a good local alum of San Jose State, joining many of us on staff. But her joining our team brings a lot of added capacity for us to support staff with training and development, implementation of some additional features in our HRIS system, and to just continue providing excellent customer service to our staff of 57. So we're excited to have Aline, and I'll let her say a few words for herself as well.
Thank you for the introduction, Elizabeth. Hi, it's a pleasure to meet all of the members of the board. I'm very excited to be working here at the Open Space Authority. I did grow up in this area, so I'm also very excited to learn more about the engagement opportunities, volunteering work, and then just learning more about the history of the city.
Welcome. I like it here, so glad to have you on board. Anyone want to say anything? Welcome.
You know, someone at Adobe didn't check hard enough.
Okay, all right. And now, so we have an announcement regarding the items we discussed in closed session will be made prior to closed session.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are two items in closed session. One is negotiation with real property negotiation. The other one is conference with legal counsel anticipated litigation, the details of which are listed on the agenda. Just for the board's information, we're going to start with number 2, anticipated litigation in closed session, but there are other people who are waiting for us to return from closed session. So at the end of business, regular business will go back in closed session at the end of the meeting to deal with item.
All right, let's move to closed session.
Hi, Alex. This is Caroline, the clerk. The board members are still currently in closed session,
Oh, okay.
but we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, that's good.
Thank you.
Do we have a report from, oh, hold on, mic on, there we go. Is there a report from closed session?
No report, Madam Chair. We completed item number 2, no report on that item. We will be returning to closed session at the end of the meeting on item.
Somebody's dying. This portion, if there are any public comments, this portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on the agenda, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Do you have any speakers?
No public comments.
No public comments, okay. All right, then we have the approval of the minutes from October 26th. Anyone would like to enter a motion?
I'll move. Excuse me. I'll move. Second.
So we have a motion from Director Kennett with a second by Director Walker. Ready to call roll?
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Flaher,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable,
Yes.
Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Okay, that motion approved unanimously. Right. And the approval of the consent calendar. Does anybody wish to pull any item on the consent calendar? Oh, no, wait, is there any public comment?
No.
Okay. No one wishing to pull item on the.
I'll make a motion. The consent calendar. I second.
All right. So we have a motion from Director Enwell with a second with Director Alexander. Is that items 1 and 2?
Pardon me 1 second. And then.
All right.
Okay, ready.
Okay, so. Active motion to approve consent item 1 and 2 from Director Enwell and a second by Director Alexander. Ready?
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Flaher,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable,
Yes.
Director Alexander,
Yes.
Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously. All right, now we are on to new business, which is accept the final audit report for fiscal year 2022-2023 as prepared by Moss Levy and Harsman LLP. And you're going to do the introduction.
I am. Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Directors. Lee Rauscher, Assistant General Manager, Administrative and Field Operations. And it's my pleasure this evening to introduce Elisa D'Angelo. Elisa is our staff accountant. She's been with the agency since 2018. She partners with our Fiscal Services Officer, Justina Teen, to complete many important duties for the agency, like our audit and the budget and work plan development. And I believe many of the directors know Elisa through her duties as accounts payable. If you've ever had to sign a check, you've probably met Elisa. But just in case, wanted to introduce her this evening. She is graciously and capably taking on many key responsibilities in Justina's absence. And this is her first opportunity to present to the board this evening. But good news, she has several more presentations between now and February, so you will be seeing her again. And I will turn it over to Elisa.
Thank you. Elisa D'Angelo, Staff Accountant. Good evening, Directors. Tonight, we are presenting the results of the authority's financial audit for fiscal year ending June 30, 2023. Each year, the authority is required to conduct an independent financial audit. In August, the auditors were on site 2 days for fieldwork and conducted the rest of the audit process remotely. In summary, the auditors expressed an opinion that the financial statements have been presented fairly and free from material misstatement. Here with us tonight is our auditor, Alex Hahn from Moss Levy and Hartzheim. Alex will briefly discuss the audit standards, the approach taken, and present the audit results. And with that, I will hand it over to Alex.
Hi, good evening, everyone. As Elisa said, my name is Alexander Hom from Moss Levy and Hartzheim, and we gave the authority an unmodified clean opinion. In terms of the audit process, it's pretty much status quo. We kind of typically, look at the disbursements process, payroll processes, and receipting process. And from there, we from the conclusions from those tests, we look at, 25 random disbursements, 25 random payroll transactions. We look at a number of high risk areas like credit card transactions and employee reimbursements. And from there, we essentially just look at the balance sheet, cash all the way down to fixed assets to, net pension liability, and make sure those balances are correct. In terms of, there's nothing new in terms of the presentation of the audit, the financial statements this year. No new standards. I touched on this last year, but the only really thing of note is, if you can notice, the net pension liability swung pretty much completely back, if not a little bit more than what it was before last year. And as I said, last year was mainly everything was a year behind. Like the pension liability is valued a year behind. So last year's number was based on June 30, 2021, which, as you all know, the market was red hot at the time. And now 22 kind of crashed back down to reality. Other than that, everything went well. No findings. And Justina and Elisa, they do a fantastic job and make my life pretty easy. Any questions regarding the audit process, or the audit report in general?
Any questions? Oh. Yeah, sounds like a glowing report. That's what we want.
Any misses traveling to each special agency that you're the auditor for?
Okay. I don't see any questions or any concerns. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Would you like to make a motion to accept the?
Let's make a motion to accept the item.
I'll second that motion.
Technology. There we go. Okay, so we have a motion to accept the final audit report for fiscal year 2022, 2023. Please moved by Director Potter. The second.
Who was the second?
Okay.
Yeah.
Director Kennett. Okay, there we go. All right.
Director Kennett,
Yes.
Director Faulkner,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable,
Yes.
Director Alexander,
Yes.
Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
All right, that motion passes unanimously. Great. Okay, now we have item to accept final report, Measure Q, Measure T partial tax audit report for fiscal year 2022, 2023, as prepared by Moss Levy and Hartzheim LLP. What's that? You're on again.
Okay, Elisa D'Angelo, staff accountant. Good evening again, directors. As required by both the Measure Q and the Measure T expenditure plans, an annual independent audit shall be conducted to assure the revenues expended by the authority is in line with the fiscal safeguards stated in the plans. In addition to our all funds audit, our auditors prepare a report that focuses only on Measure Q and Measure T. In fiscal year 22-23, the authority received a little over $8 million in parcel tax revenue. Total revenues were just over $8.5 million. In compliance with the expenditure plan, the authority did not spend more than 0.1% of the revenues received, or approximately $8,000 on costs to the expenditure plan oversight committee. The authority also did not charge more than the approved $1 million from Measure T to pay for administrative expenses. The remaining balance of the agency's administrative expenses are covered by other funds. Overall, the authority recorded a little under $2 million in total expenses to Measure Q, largely due to capital improvement projects, including improvements at Mayano Yakima Coyote Ridge, and recorded just under $4.5 million in expenses to Measure T. This final audit will be presented to the Expenditure Plan Oversight Committee for review in January 2024. Alex, would you like to add any additional comments at this time?
Nope. Everything looked good, so.
Again, that's what we like to hear. All right, any of my colleagues have any comments or questions? Nope. Nope. Seeing none, okay. We need a motion to accept this. Well, so public, did you say? Oh, public comment. Yes, thank you. Yes, okay. Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to accept.
Move to accept.
Second.
So we have a motion to accept from Director Alexander, with a second by Director Gill.
Director Kenneth,
Yes.
Director Flaher,
Yes.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Annable,
Yes.
Director Alexander,
Yes.
Director Potter,
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. Okay, and the next item, now we get to find out what this is all about. Okay. So we have an informational item, 2023 educational program year in review, Terry Roadaway. Is up to something. Yeah.
Hello, directors. My name is Terry Rogaway, and I'm your Educational Programs Administrator. So presenting for you tonight is Michelle Garcia, your Educational Programs Coordinator. At this time, it would be okay for you to remove the napkin from your plate.
Good evening, directors. Educational Programs Coordinator, Michelle Garcia. It's a pleasure to be here with you tonight to discuss the 2023 Educational Program Year in Review. We will get into the cups and the plates and the little goodies that's in front of you as we go through the program through a few different prompts. But first, I'd like to share with you guys the highlight from my year in 2023. Pictured on the screen is a photo from Little Uvis Open Space Preserve. Back in July, we were fortunate enough to partner with the International Rescue Committee during their Girls Summer Empowerment Camp. At this program, we had a very unique group joining us. This group was filled of refugees from countries all over the world, speaking different languages with different experiences in the outdoors. And of course, the shared trauma of having to be removed from their homes. I wanted to share this program with you because not only was it my favorite that I got to participate in this past year, but also because it represents why this program is so important. Our goal for this program, as is our goal for all of our educational programs, is to create a welcoming, safe, and positive space so that we can try to inspire that connection with nature. And we'd like to do that same thing here for you tonight. And I think Terry has a little bit of positivity to share with you.
So at this time, we'd like to invite you to taste the tea. This is actually a positive energy tea. That's the name of it. It does have a very small amount of caffeine. This is designed to lift your spirits and your energy. And the flute was one of the ways that we were able to interact with the girls. I originally started a guided imagery experience and realized that with 8 different countries and 5 different languages, none of them knew at all what I was talking about. So instead, I just spoke calmly, and then I started playing the flute, and they all just relaxed. And it's a non-verbal way of communicating. And so this experience you're going to have throughout the presentation tonight will be a sensory experience. Please feel free to use the rose petals as a fidget toy. They're wonderful to touch. They're very soothing. You can smell them. There's a visual element. I watched your reactions as you came in the room. This is an experience like the one that Michelle and I created for these folks. And this is created with love and affection for part of your educational experience tonight. Don't eat yet.
We won't get mad at you guys if you snack a little bit. So, some numbers. In 2023, so far, we've hosted 90 programs. By the end of December, that will have increased to 105 different programs. So averaging out at about 2 a week. So far, we've made 3,034 educational contacts. And by the end of the year, we believe that'll be over 3,200. So that's over 3,000 opportunities to teach someone about open spaces, over 3,000 opportunities for someone to learn something new, and over 3,000 opportunities for someone for the first time to feel safe in nature, and possibly to be committed to preserving it in the future. And it's all thanks to our volunteers. As hard as me and Terry may try, we could not host over 100 programs this year, just the 2 of us. We have a very dedicated and loyal core of about 50 docents, and that number is growing every year, which help lead programs, create programs, as well as over 100 preserve stewards who support our programs. They greet the public, they help with setup, they help with tear down, and everything in between. It is because of our wonderful group of docents and preserve stewards and other volunteers that our regular programs have been able to thrive. Every year, every month, we host bird watching, we regularly host tarantula treks once a year, hike your pie off after Thanksgiving, stargazing programs, and it's all through the support of our lovely docents. And people come month after month, week after week to be with these docents and learn from their expertise. One highlight is that thanks to our volunteers, we were able to once again host the Perseids meteor shower viewing this year, which was our largest event that the Open Space Authority hosted this year, with over 700 people in attendance. And of course, I have to shout out our new partners that has allowed us to reach new communities this year. This year, we've been able to make some new connections, such as Walking with a Doc, the Renaissance Academy, and of course, the International Rescue Committee was another organization that we met this year. One of their volunteers actually joined us for an educational program at Rancho, and they were so moved by their experience that they went to the staff at the IRC, told them about us, and then their staff reached out to us, and that's how we were able to get involved with their Girls Empowerment Summer Camp. During meetings with the IRC, we learned about the special nature of their group and some accommodations that you would need to make for, such as all female staff in attendance, giving their group privacy, so not a lot of public interaction, as well as overcoming a diverse group of cultural backgrounds and language backgrounds. Part of the reason we were able to accommodate this group and many other groups is because of our tenacious ability to be creative and to be adaptive and create welcoming programming. So for this program, we knew we couldn't rely on a lot of auditory learning. And so we utilized other senses, such as sight, touch, smell, and taste. And to do this, we use these senses so that they could get to know the plants in the environment around them, such as the experience that we've created for you today.
So this is the opportunity to experience the things on your plate. The first thing I'd like you to try is your little piece of rosemary here. So rosemary has been known to stimulate memory, and especially in use with senior citizens, trying to help them recall things. The smell of rosemary tends to help. You're like, that's where my car keys went. So please feel free at this time to experience the different smells of the items on your plate. Go ahead and taste and enjoy. And you could probably eat the rose petals, but I don't recommend it.
We've also been able to continue to strengthen our ongoing partnerships with organizations such as Peninsula Open Space Trust, the Wildlife Education Rehabilitation Committee, the Gilroy Beekeepers Association, the San Jose Astronomical Association, California Native Plants Association, and many more partners have supported us in creating these accessible programs. So not only did we include sensory adaptations to make our programs more accessible to a wider community, but we also used adaptations such as tactile discovery. One example is a program we recently did with a group of Cub Scouts where we gave them the opportunity to dig through owl pellets and gave them each their own sheet so they can identify the bones found in these owl pellets as their own sense of tactile discovery. Another example of a accessible program that we did was a Stargazing Starry Nights program for the sensory sensitive. We had a very small group out there so that they can be focused, and we utilized new technologies to make the stars a little closer and a little brighter for those with visual complications. Other new programs included campfires at the Open Space Authority, which was another one of my favorites, solar stargazing, and a celebration of public transit for the Public Transit Month. And coming up in December, we are having a set of silent hikes or silent outings. This way we can promote some peace and tranquility in what is usually a very busy month for many people. And of course, we cannot go without mentioning the multi-departmental events that we have had the pleasure of helping to plan and participate in and host educational programs at. This photo here is a photo from the 30th anniversary celebration that was held at Tilton Ranch. It's me and Terry and our wonderful partner, Deb Kramer with Keep Coyote Creek Beautiful. She is also one of our many talented docents. And of course, not to mention the Coyote Valley Earth Day celebration, the Bay Area Ridge Trail dedication, and the Mayan Oyakma Community Day celebration. These were all events that we all worked very hard on, and it was a wonderful time to participate in. Now, looking ahead for 2024, we are looking forward to a lot of wonderful things coming up for our programming, including strengthening our teams, creating new relationships, new programs, new experiences, and of course, the upcoming new wildflower season at Mayan Oyakma and utilizing education as a management tool to help preserve and protect this special place. And most of all, we're looking forward to continuing to create welcoming, safe, and positive spaces for all who join us at these programs. Thanks. Any questions? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes.
This all sounds great. I wondered what you did for public transportation day.
Through the chair. So for that day, we had an event at Spreckles Hill, which is very close to that bus stop that's on Santa Teresa. And we highly encouraged everyone to take the bus to that spot. And then we actually had a full moon walk. It was a beautiful full moon that day. And so we had a night hike out at Spreckles Hill, and everyone took the bus there and took the bus back. So it was just encouraging the use of public transit to open spaces.
I'm enjoying the sensory.
Yes.
I love the smell of rosemary. I have some like now when I have a day, I'm gonna go out and smell my rosemary. Thank you. No, this is, you know, it's been a very crazy week and this is a kind of a really nice way
Yeah.
to incorporate a little calmness into
Mhm.
craziness. So thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
You had said that you have, something diligent. And then you have,
And they have volunteers in addition to those.
Mhm.
And my next question is, are these the walnuts of the property at Palm?
Through the chair. Yes, these are the Chappelle walnuts. I know, they're delicious. I'm glad you guys are enjoying them.
Through the chair, if I may, if there are no other director questions. Great. I just have a comment. So Terry, I noticed a couple of slides where you're taking great advantage of Miami Yakima to deliver your educational programs. And I just wanted to acknowledge what a strong and steady voice you were when Lucas and his team were busy moving. You were so outspoken, right, about the benefits of creating multiple spaces there to deliver that work. And that looks like it's paying dividends. So I just wanted to appreciate your ongoing feedback through the long design process.
Anything else? Thank you. So very much. Yeah. Okay, this kind of treat very often, so you know.
So we have sun-dried tomatoes. Oh. These are Chappelle walnuts. There's a dried fig, the one that looks a little scary. And then we have, those are prunes. So you have 2 prunes, dried cherries and cranberry raisins. So cranberry raisins.
Okay. All right, now we will move on.
You can that one? No, you can.
Director feels still hungry.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I understand that the police on the property that has the walnut trees was released, it's no longer released. And that if we wanted to do personal harvesting of these kind of walnuts, we should contact the staff and let us go on property. And I'll tell you, I already have 9 pounds.
Harry, since that was your activity, do you want to just explain kind of how it came about and are there any walnuts left and can folks still go out there, etc.?
Through the chair, yes, there are a ton of walnuts left. So the way this came about was Aaron Aber was asked me if I could put together a experience so that people could come out, have a little interpretive experience and get to collect walnuts. So Michelle and I put that together. We went out on 2 different occasions. I wanted to invite you and friends and family and partners. I would like to go out again on Saturday from 12 to 2, probably 3. Please bring your own bag or your own bucket or your own truck. And feel free to take as many walnuts as you can. We've had several people come from partners and neighbors. Come and enjoy and take 2-3 trips back into the orchard in order to get more. We need to do it before the rain comes next week. Once they get saturated, the walnuts on the ground will rot. So this is the time. So I'll be out there this Saturday from 12 to 2 or 3. And feel free to stop by. I will open the gate and you can come on and get more.
Harry, I heard today from our grants coordinator, Megan Drager, that she made our own walnut brittle that I missed somehow. But she was saying there's probably a step or 2 before eating them. Do you have any tips?
Through the chair, I was reading up on it, and it turns out that if you want the most nutritional value, you should soak them before you eat them. just for a little bit. I get nervous about that, so I put them in the fridge when I soak them. Nuts have a tendency to go bad very quickly once you do that, so you need to eat them like within a day or so. But if you're gonna put them in your cooking, it's a good idea to soak them first, or you can dry them by putting them in a low temperature in the oven and just letting them dry out. They'll last much longer. If you keep the walnuts in the shell and you dry them, just put them in a warm room somewhere spread out so there's no moisture. Once those dry, they'll stay for 5-6 years. They'll be okay. But once you crack them open, you either gotta freeze them, candy them, cook them, or eat them.
Through the chair. Yes. Do you want to public comment? I was gonna say, is there any public comment? There's no. Yes, okay. All right. There was, they'd all be going, what are you doing that we're not? Important. Okay, all right. Okay, committee meeting summary. So, the ABC committee met earlier today and discussed our, goals that I believe will be coming to the board. Did you want to come up or?
There we go. That I can learn how to work in mine. Right, so there's a set of governance principles that we'll be bringing to the board in December for review and then and further direction. Did you want me to continue talking about the other item as well?
Okay, I was just kind of, Director Gill kind of wanted to put on them in the back wall.
We did decide that it's rolling an electronic crawl with the principles would be actually, sorry, it's not all the principles do, it's the call to service.
The call to service.
That's right, that's the one.
Because I love technology, that's why
Yeah, so that was kind of, so yeah, we look forward to it. We kind of bring it to the board because we got very positive feedback. Staff did a great job incorporating that. And again, I think the comments were that we are lifting ourselves above other bodies and setting an example for other governing bodies, which we continue to do. So all in a very positive light. Yes, and then the second item.
And the second item is bringing forth a proposal to revise the purpose of what we believe will soon to be formally known as the and Management Committee. Name to be determined. There are a couple of suggestions for we look forward to a rousing debate in December. But bringing forward that proposal for a new purpose, a new name, an expanded purpose, I should say, and a new name to reflect that purpose, and then a new cadence for ABC meetings. No change to the meetings, but all of those will eventually be wrapped into the board operating rules and procedures. So that will require board action to finalize those recommendations.
We want to make good use of your time.
Yeah. Yes. And us with you as well.
Okay, that would be the summary for the ABC committee. So now we're on informational reports. Gentlemen.
Thank
you, Madam. Report.
Yeah, I have just 2 items and then I'm going to ask members of the leadership team to report too. The first thing I wanted to report out is earlier this week, it was only this week, hard to believe, on Monday, we were invited to attend a very interesting regional tourism summit put on by Visit Morgan Hill in the city of Morgan Hill. It was held at a winery, the Mohai Winery, just outside of Morgan Hill. And it was really interesting. There were probably about 100 to 125 people there. Tourism directors from Santa Cruz County, Santa Clara County, Morgan Hill, Gilroy, talking all about what's coming and why we should all be working together. And this is the first time I can remember that we've been invited to a regional tourism summit. And I really want to thank Mark Landgraf, who made this connection with the Visit Morgan Hill tourism director. And so
it was a really great event, and it really provided an opening for us to talk about the benefits of nature to the economy and the importance of nature and sense of place, which creates interest in wanting to come and visit Santa Clara County and the cities. We talked specifically about wanting to partner together along the Santa Teresa and Monterey Road corridors for safer biking and pedestrian ways as Coyote Valley comes to the fore through the Coyote Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan. So we had a lot of good feedback, got some good questions afterwards, and anyway, I was very pleased with that. The other thing I wanted to report out is Mark Landgraf is not here tonight because he was attending the Together Bay Area Regional Policy Summit today in Berkeley. And one of the big draws there was a big discussion about the climate resilience bond that will be on the November 2024 ballot. And the other draw was that the Assembly member, California Assembly member Aguiar Curry, who's from the East Bay and is the author of ACA 1, which is the constitutional amendment that the legislature has put on the November 2024 ballot, which lowers the voter threshold for special taxes to 55%. So we're very, very interested in following that, as obviously our cities, counties, special districts, park agencies, and so on. So Mark will probably be giving a more detailed report to you on ACA 1 in the coming weeks. So just wanted to make that mention. And with that, Matt,
I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Please leave.
I didn't know if it made sense. Good evening again, Director. Two very quick things. Caroline and I just wrapped up attending the Special District Leadership Academy course. It's up in Santa Rosa. The SDLA offers 2 tracks. These are geared towards board members or members of the management team that work with the board. Caroline did the track number 1, I did track number 2. So between the two of us, we are complete. But wanted to highlight for you is this is something that's available through training. We budgeted dollars for training for the board. The next session is in February down in San Luis Obispo. Very affordable. A couple of highlights for some of the sessions are, setting a board culture. One of my favorites, it's the longest title possible, promoting stability in times of heightened partisanship and polarization. Some very interesting conversations, a great way to make some connections with other special district folk. And the other thing I wanted to highlight is December 14th is the next and final board meeting for the year. Due to lack of topic, we will be canceling the ABC meeting, but in order to start the board meeting early, we'll follow up in writing for you. Got a very full agenda. We thought maybe before we get started, maybe a short holiday reception, and then we'll get started on a nice long meeting for you. Again, we'll follow up in writing with the times and all.
Good evening, directors. Last week, we passed a pretty major milestone on the way towards another really important property transaction. So the Department of General Services approved the appraisal for the 79-acre U property. So this U property is adjacent to the Frontoyo Grove conservation easement we hold in Morgan Hill. The appraised amount for the conservation easement was $2.4 million. Earlier this week on Tuesday, the Santa Clara County Board of Supervisors approved on their consent calendar authorization to cover half of that amount. So they are contributing $1.2 million towards that conservation easement. The other half of the easement is paid for by the Sustainable Agricultural Lands Conservation Grant Program. We have a pretty good record. We're 3 for 3 with the SALT program right now to fund agricultural properties. So when you add the 79-acre U property to the 90-acre Frontoyo Grove, we're starting to create something of a small agricultural preserve in Morgan Hill really important location because so many of those agricultural properties are still at risk of single family residential development. So it's really, really timely. And we are looking forward to closing on that easement in January of 2024.
What type of ag does the U property have?
I don't remember the exact crops that are in the ground right now, but it has historically supported a variety of row crops and vegetable crops. And then we also got really great news at the end of last week. The Department of Water Resources and the Open Space Authority have executed a $500,000 funding agreement to contribute that towards the water resources elements of the Cuyahoga Valley Conservation Areas Master Plan. So we've indirectly received grant funding from the Department of Water Resources before for our Colorado River Ag Preserve, but this is the first planning grant that we've ever received from them. And it's incredibly significant because now that they have the seat at the table, they're engaged in the planning process. We hope that they'll leverage this $500,000 investment to pay for the implementation projects that their planning funding will tee up right through the process. So that's how that works. So we're really, really excited. So much of CD Camp's implementation will be around floodplain restoration, groundwater dependent ecosystems. So their funding is really just at the core of the planning process. So we're really excited about that. And I'll leave it there.
All right, good evening, directors. Lucas Shellhammer, planning manager. I wanted to share a few updates on the Rancho Bridge and our Rancho Cañada del Oro open space preserve property. A few weeks ago, the board approved an amendment to the construction contract to allow us to make some changes to the design of our bridge abutment footings connecting across Llagas Creek to the former Blair Ranch 2,000-acre property. Thank you. We were able to get that project back up and running, get the footings constructed. Right now we're due to that high water level is the reason we made the change, and now we're dodging between storms, coordinating the next atmospheric river coming next week with our contractors and engineering consultants to get the abutments poured. The team will be working through the weekend to get the forms up and get this poured Monday before the storm comes in on later that day, or that evening. So fingers crossed, all goes well with that, but really looking forward to getting that work done, which is critical towards buttoning up the slopes of the creek and stabilizing them for the winter. But right now things are looking good and on track to making that happen before the creek levels rise. Relatedly, wanted to share an update on coordination with the County of Santa Clara Parks and Bay Area Ridge Trail Council. As you all know, we've been working closely with both of those organizations on realignments of the southern portion of the Bay Area Ridge Trail and the countywide Trails Master Plan update. So Bay Area Ridge Trail Council a few months ago moved the alignment of the trail through our Rancho Cañada del Oro Preserve, and that's in alignment with the work that we've been coordinating with Santa Clara County Parks to update the Trails Master Plan to move the regional trail connection off of Summit Road, where there's very complicated property rights, to a more feasible in the short to midterm in the foothills of the Santa Cruz Mountains. And so that includes our Rancho Cañada del Oro Preserve connecting Almeda and Quicksilver Park and Calero through our preserve to Mount Madonna. So we're last week kicked off the Ridge Trail Southern Working Group with participants from Valley Habitat Agency, Santa Clara County Parks, Mid-Penn, and Peninsula Open Space Trust. So we'll be continuing working with them to bridge that gap. And all this will inform, tying it back to Blair, our Blair Backcountry Trails project will look to be kicking off fairly soon here to bridge that gap and utilize our phase 1 bridge connection to connect to the Blair Barn. Answer any questions.
Thanks, Lucas.
Any question? Nope. Okay. Thank you for the great updates. Legal counsel.
No report, Madam Chair.
Board member reports. Go this way. What? This room's very.
Okay, I'm number one. That's what I got. So, I have no report because our general manager took my report. I was at the same meeting.
Any observations from that meeting, you want to share?
You did very well. It was, and I agree, it was a little behind the scene work to get us there. And it's generally, even though it's a tourist, it's really a business organization that brings us, and they tend not to include environmentalists, but we were able to get that, the introduction to Krista Crook made the difference. She really, after I met with her and introduced her to excuse me, my voice is still recovering. Introducing her to Mark, they took it from there. So that's what resulted in that. So I was glad to see it. And you did a good job.
Yes, I want to report on, last weekend, we did our annual pilgrimage to Apple Hill. Just did that. You know what that is?
Yes.
Okay, up on the other side of Placerville, off Highway 50 is a little old logging mill town, and the hills around it have become a group of apple and wine and other interesting things. There's about 60 businesses up through there, including one of the wineries and businesses we go to, which is started as an apple orchard, and that's Boa Vista. They're open all but 2 days year round, and they have the prerequisite things like cider and apples and frozen pies, and they were even open during the pandemic, which was quite I mean, there's also another place up the road called the High Hill Ranch. I think there was about 1,500 people there on that little spread. And it was a great day, all apples. I go for a specific apple called an Arkansas Black, which was made in the 1840s, 50s in Arkansas. And it was developed in a combination to create an apple that stores well with the winter months. So if you pick it and eat it like I do, it's as hard as a rock. It isn't particularly sweet, but if you persevere and keep it in cold storage, as people in the late 1800s did, root cellars, that sort of thing, you could have springtime apples, and the flavor develops, as they say, like a fine wine. So it's worth going in and getting some of those. So that was a nice weekend trip. This coming weekend, not this one coming up immediately, but weekends out, we're going up to Auburn for the Mandarin Orange Festival. Yes, they do have Mandarin oranges, and they're up in the foothills. There's a ranch called Mandarin Ranch that we want to go back to, that we had some great mandarins from last year. So I know it isn't down here, so don't shoot me for that. But it's just one of those things that you kind of get into, and it's actually would like to see more of it down here, supported by, I know we have cherries down here, for instance, but apples, and I'm not sure you can grow mandarins down here, but anyway, so interesting times out in agriculture.
Very grateful.
I don't have a report, but I just like to again compliment staff on the reports that were used in the action for the eminent domain and how they very clearly show that the public is benefiting from this action. And it's just makes me very proud to be part of this organization. See everyone's actions after having been away for 10 years to this out. It's just gotten more polished and better. So you young folks, you have some great mentors.
But I don't have a report, but I was gonna say in the spirit of Thanksgiving, since it's coming up, I just want to say I'm very thankful for the great staff and my colleagues that it was very heartwarming to see us all come together on a victory. I think we were all a little bit nervous, that, you know, this was the first action. We've never done this before, and we certainly looked like we knew what we were doing. But so thank you for your great leadership.
No report.
I just want to thank you for the red and gold 49er roses. And then you mentioned our Aggies with Frontoyo Grove, and I just want to remind everybody that you can go on their website and order their products, and they will be delivered in time for the holidays. So, it's really good.
Ready to go.
Actually, I just happy to inform you that the last Sunday, yearly actually, we have a big Sikh religion festivals which celebrated in the city. Name is Yuba City. Is 3 hours from here in the north side, close to Chico, and that is the biggest festival actually in not in India, but out of India. If you look at all the other countries where the Sikh population is there, I did get the chance to attend that. 200,000 people were there, and then it's a really a big Sikh parade is there. So cover the whole Yuba city from Sikh temple all the way, make a round and then come back there. It's a whole day from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So everything is shut down on that. City is not a big city. The reason is that because when the Indian people came to United States, the first thing they landed on that city. And then the majority of the Indians owned the land there. It's almost 90% agriculture land owned by the Sikh people. So it was really a great. And then I suggest everybody the next year, November 1st Sunday. Every November 1st Sunday is the celebration day. Just try, and then I will invite you on that. The second thing, Grenada, I didn't forget that. I put in my calendar, I'm going to attend CSC meeting. I want to give you a surety that one, you can go wherever you go. Thank you.
Okay, all right. That is the end of the report. So now we will be going into
reconvening in closed session.
Second part of closed session. All right. Thank you all. Come on, you're gonna be ready, yes.
There you go.
They're.
Last one is a hard. Always the last one. Because we need one more.
I know.
That one
Waiting
more
for
is a
one-
hard.
The next person that walks through.
I was gonna say, let them know that one person should just step into the room. They could go back and finish their conversation.
Right, sorry.
Still
Okay.
officially a meeting.
Oh, no, it's-
Okay, so do we have any reportable actions?
No reportable actions, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.